good to see all of the smiling faces, and what a beautiful day. It is gorgeous, a little bit cooler, but we know it's still summertime, right? So get ready. So we're going to open with prayer with Mr. Lamar.
For those of you who don't know, and some of you can't remember probably, the Harm Sheriff, who was a member of this club, has passed away. And was telling my table, he used to sit right there at that table with a group of guys, whom Buddy is the only one left. So we'll remember Harm. So let's go to God in prayer. Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day. The weather is a bit cooler outside, and we celebrate that and celebrate the surprising rain that we had yesterday morning that kind of refreshed all of us. And we give you thanks for the day, for the season, and as we come to the end of summer and the beginning of fall. We give you thanks for the work that this club is doing in its community, the flags that are all over the community as we pass by the celebration of Labor Day and look to the observance of Patriots Day, what we call now the holiday that celebrates, or not celebrates, but honors and remembers what happened to us on 9/11. And we pause and remember each one of us where we were because of all of the events of my lifetime. That's the one that has most directly affected how I live from day to day. And we remember all those who were lost and what happened to our country after that. But it's a beautiful day, and we ask your spirit to be upon us, to bless our work in this community, to bless the food that has been prepared for us, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of the Christ we pray. Amen.
Next, Mr. David Harris will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, at this time we would have introduction of guests, but I don't believe we have anyone other than our speaker, and Shane will make the introduction. At this time, we're going to highlight another board member, Director of Club Service, Dr. Jose Parra.
So that's the sound of one hand clapping. Okay, got it. I got it. Thanks so much, Linda. I do want to tell you that I began with Rotary back in 2005, back when I was in Kerrville. I joined as a member there, and one of the things that really jumped out at me was the mission of Rotary, making this world a better place. And then in addition to that, the four-way test. I found that to be a very helpful way to live life. Every situation calls upon you to make decisions, and that four-way test is a great way to go about the decision-making process. And then when I moved to Lockhart in 2008, they had no Rotary Club. The closest thing they had was a Kiwanis International Club. So I joined that, in very similar missions, very similar ideas in terms of how to serve. And then, of course, I've been a member of the Irving Las Colinas Rotary since 2014 when we moved here. And I think one of the things that strikes me about this particular club is how willing the members are to reach out and support each other. and then also to reach out and support this community in becoming a better place to live. My driving mission in life has always been to make things better wherever I've been, and I'd like to believe that I've done that. And certainly the Irving Las Colinas Rotary helps me keep that priority right at the very top. I do want to share with you something that the Nobel Prize-winning poet, and I'm going to try to pronounce his name correctly, Rabindranath Tagore is what I usually say. He once wrote, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy." So I want to tell you this, that being a member of the Irving Las Colinas Rotary helps feed my mission, and it helps me to practice the concept that service is joy. Thank you.
Excellent. I love that. So well put together, and a wonderful thought to remember that service is the joy. Making a difference with someone that needs help is always a blessing. Okay, at this time, we're going to have Mr. Shane Webb, our president-elect, come forward. He's going to highlight our meeting next week. Will not be at noon. It will be in the afternoon with another social networking event to help hopefully bring in some prospect members that we can share with and help to ignite with our Rotary Club and help us make a difference. Uh-oh, I didn't touch it. Come forward, Jake.
Very good. Check, check. There we go. All right. So yeah, I just want to add on to what our president said, Linda, that we had a great, this is cutting out. I bet it's the battery. Great time at our last social. And we would love to have more of our members this time. There were, that's all right, we know how to do this. There were a number of people that were interested in joining, so we'd love to have you join us for that fun social time. I think this one will be very nice, so please put that on your calendar and join us. It's come and go, so if you can't get there right at 5, it's okay. 5 to 7, we'd love to have you. My next announcement, since I'm also trying to be Ryan today, Ryan had wanted to remind us that we need golfers. We have the Alliance that came and spoke, and they're going to have a wonderful golf tournament to raise money for Crisis Ministries, the main place, and All Things Made New. They're partnering now for fundraising. This is Friday, September 17th. I plan to be there for some of that, but I don't golf. And we need golfers. So if you're a golfer or you know some golfers, please consider getting a team together. The weather is looking like it's going to be beautiful. This is at the Irving Golf Club over on Shady Grove. So if you're interested, I'll sign you up. Jose.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you define golfer for me, please?
Yeah, I mean, can you swing? Can you swing a club? I mean, they would even consider me a golfer, and I don't golf. So yes, please consider that. And if you want more information, I will help direct you there. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today. One of Rotary's key goals that they're working on right now is ending sex trafficking. And so today we have Katie Jennings, who's going to come speak to us about her organization, Mosaic, Mosaic Family Services of Dallas. And it is important that we support this work and that we continue to end sex trafficking. Sometimes they call it human sex trafficking, but it's not human, it's inhuman to do sex trafficking. So without further ado, she is very involved in the community and helping specifically in this area. So I do want to welcome today Katie. Thank you for being with us.
And hi, I'm Katie Jenkins. I believe that I sent in a presentation. Is it going to be on the slides or?
I didn't get it, but I can write.
Okay, I'll go grab my phone then because I will forget all the things that we do if I don't have something to look at. Thanks. Sorry about this. Okay, so I can't find the presentation on my phone. And so I'm just gonna go for bad, but still that's something that none of us could ever imagine. And he ended up escaping on a fishing boat from Vietnam, and was rescued by a French vessel. I forgot the name, but a French vessel, and was taken to the Philippines where he was at a refugee camp before arriving in the United States. And so whenever he arrived in the United States, he ended up getting 2 graduate degrees and got his PhD in counseling psychology. So he is a counselor, and he founded Mosaic. We were originally called East Dallas Counseling Center, and we primarily provided counseling to refugees like Dr. Nguyen. And so he's still our current founder and executive director. There would be photos on here, but it's, technology issues. So, so that's kind of our history. And that was in 1993 when he started Mosaic. And we were initially only really providing counseling for refugees, but since then our services have expanded a lot. And so we provide services to survivors of human rights abuses. That includes unaccompanied minors, refugees, survivors of domestic violence, and human trafficking. So that is who we primarily work with. We have many different services in the ways that we help them. We have an emergency shelter called Mosaic House, and it is a shelter for women and children who are survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. We also have our multicultural legal program. We're the only organization in North Texas that provides free family and immigration legal services, which is really important because for the majority of our clients, the majority of our clients are foreign born. And so they face a lot of different obstacles to receiving help and than people who are born in the United States, because there's a lot of fear of immigration or of deportation, and there's a lot of just challenges and obstacles of receiving services if you know, if you are born in another country and you were brought over here to be trafficked by an American citizen. And so there are special visas and immigration. Yeah, there's different services and visas available for survivors of trafficking and other survivors of violent crime. When you either are, you know, brought over independent on an abusive spouse for your for your legal residency here. Sorry, this might. Oh no, you're okay. Yeah, so that's primarily just the background on what we do and of who we serve. And so we also have other services as well, such as our social adjustment services, where we help refugees and other survivors access things like healthcare, their social benefits like receiving SNAP and CHIP, you know, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that, helping refugees enroll children in school, getting their vaccinations, getting all sorts of things that, you know, you don't think about needing unless you, oh, perfect, here. Awesome, thank you. You're good. Perfect. Is there a clicker for me to scroll, or should I just? Oh, that's Dr. Nguyen, our founder. And the picture actually above, can you go to the first slide? That picture it's sideways for some reason, but that was actually taken on the fishing boat or the French vessel that rescued him in the South China Sea, which is actually just really cool because, you know, a lot of refugees don't necessarily have those sort of photos. So it's really cool, and yeah, I think it's fascinating. So yeah, you can just continue to scroll. So that's another thing so Mosaic has, our staff speak over 25 languages, which enables us to really serve survivors who come from all over the world, who are in North Texas needing help. Again, whether they are a refugee from Afghanistan, or, you know, a refugee from Burma, or, you know, if you're being trafficked from Nigeria, we have a lot of staff who are able to speak the different languages of our clients so that we can serve them more holistically and be culturally sensitive. We've realized that a lot of clients don't always want to go seek help from traditional agencies because there are a lot of language and cultural barriers, especially when if they're a non-English or non-Spanish speaker, because there are so many Spanish speakers in Texas. You know, a lot of them do have access to services, but, you know, if you speak Korean or French or something else, you don't necessarily feel comfortable accessing the same services that you would if you were a native English speaker. Also, a lot of our clients don't have any knowledge of the American legal system, the American immigration system. They don't understand their rights as individuals. They don't realize that they, have freedom of speech, that they have the freedom to not be subjected to a crime. Many of our survivors who've come through, whether they're being trafficked or in a domestic violence situation, don't understand. They understand that what happened to them was wrong, but they don't understand that it's a crime. And so that's something that's really interesting that we work with them on, is, teaching them about just, things that are cultural orientation to getting used to the United States and what our laws and cultures like here. So again, our staff speak over 25 languages. All of our case managers in our refugee program are former refugees. So we have about 12 to 15 refugees on our staff, which is again really unique to Mosaic, because you get to hear a lot of these stories and just feel really connected to the causes that we're working with, because so many of your coworkers have firsthand experienced the human rights abuses that our clients experience as well. And so we work with human trafficking survivors, and that includes both labor and sex trafficking. About 70 to 75% of human trafficking in Texas is actually labor trafficking, which is in all sorts of different industries. It's in the construction industry, domestic servitude. So if you're a nanny, or if you get an au pair from overseas and then end up holding them, essentially holding them hostage and making them work for you. That's something that we've seen a lot happen a lot with just different clients, is that they were, they signed up for this great opportunity to work as a nanny or a live-in nanny in the United States, but then they get here and, their boss takes away their passport. Their boss, doesn't give them they don't pay them fair. They don't get the things that they were promised. So that's a really common thing that we see. Again, we see a lot of people in the agricultural industry as well, and also cleaning services, just different things where there are opportunities for traffickers to exploit their workers. So that's something that we see very frequently, is especially traffickers also are able to take advantage of immigrants more easily than they are domestic born people, just because with immigrants, they again don't understand American culture, they don't understand the American legal system, and many of them don't speak the language. And yeah, so if you could go to the next slide. So 95% of the people we serve are people of color. And that's just a breakdown of our clients. Again, just with the demographic that we serve, of it being primarily immigrants, we of course then do end up seeing just a lot of people of color because of that. Okay, so our programs. Like I mentioned earlier, we have an emergency shelter in Dallas County that serves women and children who are survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. We're the only shelter in North Texas that works with labor and sex trafficking survivors. A lot of other organizations don't provide services for labor trafficking. They only focus on sex trafficking, and which is great because that's an important focus, but it's also important to recognize that, there is a whole other side of it where, there are people who are being exploited right in front of us, and a lot of people don't realize it. We also have a child care facility at our emergency shelter. So that is for just so that mothers can help get back on their feet and feel comfortable leaving their children in a licensed daycare facility. So while they go to job interviews, have a counseling appointment, things like that. We have a lot of different programs. So we have a mental health program that we provide counseling and therapy for just all of our survivors. It's open to all of them. Again, we have our legal program. We also have our citizenship program where we help refugees apply for citizenship and go through that whole process, because it's a lot of paperwork, as you can imagine. Anything involving immigration is usually a lot of paperwork. And so those are just some more of our programs. And oh yeah, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so 45% of Dallas County residents speak a primary language other than English at home, and 1 in 4 Dallas County residents are foreign born. So we have seen that a lot of it's a really diverse city, and there's not a lot of targeted services for people who may have cultural and language barriers to accessing services. So that's really where we come into play. 23% of our trafficking survivors from 2020 were actually men. That's really unique because a lot of other organizations only primarily work with women and children that are being trafficked. When there are a lot of men who are also being exploited, whether that is through sex or labor trafficking. And again, we do see a lot of clients come through who've been exploited in the agriculture industry or the construction industry, are 2 really big ones that we see every day. And so that's where a lot of our men are coming from. 96% of our legal clients achieve positive legal outcomes due to services provided by Mosaic. So again, we do provide immigration and family law, which is really important because, for example, we have a client right now who she married an American citizen. They met in graduate school overseas, and they met in graduate school and they ended up getting married. Well, when they moved, she moved back to Dallas with him, and he became, whenever they got married, everything was fine, but then he started becoming abusive and her visa was dependent on him. So, if that does happen, it's really scary because you worry about deportation, you worry about your immigration status, and a lot of women do stick with their abuser because of that. And so we provide services to help them with their adjustment of status and then apply for a visa that's not dependent on their abuser. This is our citizenship program that works with survivors to access their citizenship. We serve 99% of survivors that came through this program to get 99% of the clients we serve through this program ended up receiving their citizenship or other naturalization status, which is just really, I think that this is one of the coolest programs just because it's really interesting to see people just, achieve that accomplishment, and they're always so happy and just really excited about their new immigration status, which is a lawful US citizen. And so in 2020, despite challenges presented by COVID, we served over 3,000 survivors through our many different programs, which we are very excited about because, as everyone knows, COVID drastically impacted the world. And so we are very excited about that number. And so we also have been open, all of our programs have been open and working throughout the entire pandemic, including our emergency shelter was open throughout the entire year. And even though we did have to make a lot of adjustments to the way we operate, we still were able to house a lot of women and children. I believe we housed over 250 survivors stayed at Mosaic House in 2020. So we're very excited about that as well. Okay, so opportunities to get involved. So I'm sure that everyone here might be aware of North Texas Giving Day. It is Oh, we also have, I'm just gonna put this up. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of our staff members are former refugees. So the refugees who are coming in from Afghanistan are on what's called a special immigrant visa. And that's for refugees who've specifically worked with the United States military overseas. They do have a target on their back more so than other refugees, just because of their relationship with the US military. Our director of citizenship is a refugee from Iraq, who he came in on the similar visa because his father worked with the US military in Iraq. So he's very knowledgeable about the situation and has been a really great advocate for resettling refugees from Afghanistan and working with this demographic. So they've usually worked with the United States military in like logistical support, as translators, as allowing people to stay in their homes if need be, things like that. So that is something that we are focused on right now, just because I've probably gotten 10 emails about it since being here, because everything's changing every day. So that is something that we are asking people to help support, just whether you are by giving to Mosaic, by giving to other organizations that also work with refugees and other survivors, because it is something that is affecting our
nonprofit group in giving someone the opportunity to have quality of living, just, to not be in an abusive situation or not have the freedom to be who they are and maximize their strength. So thank you, Katie. It's always an eye opener when we hear from a nonprofit group that's reaching many people that would be probably forgotten if they didn't have your service. So thank you so much. I want to give the opportunity for a flag update. Richard or Bill, would you like to give us an update on how everything went? I know our street looked beautiful. I loved all the flags.
All flags went out for Labor Day. They'll stay up until after Saturday, probably come down Sunday, Monday, and going into the new facility, which is we're in the process of setting up. So,
Yes.
and so we're looking after that to see how many are damaged that we need to repair. But what I understand when they make the transfer, that we get a number of extra flags. So we're in good shape. We're not under any pressure to build the flags.
Excellent. Thank you for the update.